Mechs. Nothing better than looking at a giant robot beat the shit out of another giant robot. But which do we think are our top 10? Stick around and find out. Welcome back to Comic Universe, the only nerd-centric thing you need in your life. And today we're going to be talking about a list of our top 10 favorite mechs in movies and whatever. And keep in mind, this is just our personal list, so just, keep that in mind. If you think a mech should be higher or lower, it's totally fine. But this is just our personal preferences and favorites. So yeah, just always comment below, let us know what your top 10 are.
Absolutely.
But also, the other thing is that when we say mechs, the term is going to be a little loose because we are going to have some giant robots in here. We are going to have some that are piloted, some non. So keep that in mind.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, obviously a mech really wouldn't be piloted, but we're going to kind of broaden the horizon to allow some...
some giant robots.
Some giant robots in there.
Yeah.
Anyway, and also, guys, if this is the first video you're catching this week, check out the new Comic UHQ, guys. We're doing it big time here. And, guys, let us know what you think. Let us know what you like. And, guys, so here we're going to go. We're going to start off with number 10 over here with DPZ.
My number 10, the best way to describe him is... Punch, punch, punch is Jet Jaguar from Godzilla. Doing the old Godzilla Jet Jaguar theme. Oh my god, I can't believe I remember that. Jet Jaguar is what was recognized across the board as one of the dumbest things to ever see in Godzilla, but I've always kind of dug him in a way. Like, he was just so goofy and just so much fun, and the size changing thing was always a lot of fun, even though there's no explanation for it. And I wish they used him more in films, but he actually gets a really good place to shine in Godzilla Rulers of Earth, where he actually takes down 2 Godzilla enemies that have nearly killed him just like that. Like, I'll spoil a little that he flies into the monster Orga, down his throat, then expands and rips him in half. And then when he battles Destroya, the thing that killed Godzilla, his doomsday, essentially. He flies into Mechagodzilla, activates the Absolute Zero Cannon, freezes Mechagodzilla, and then flies through him and shatters him.
That's pretty awesome.
So I think it's more of the comics that I really think he's more badass there, but I've always had a soft spot for good old Jet Jaguar, so there's my number 10.
Alright, that's a pretty good number 10. Now my number 10 is more of a nostalgia number 10. It's not really the coolest of mechs or anything like that, but it's the Loader mech from Aliens. When Ripley gets in and the arms and everything, and I just something about it. I always thought as a kid it looked really cool, looked really gritty. Obviously, because the film is definitely really gritty, but it allows her to go toe to toe with the Queen, and it just I remember as a kid just being terrified, and then when we get the whole mouth to the face. Oh man, I was just like, I remember being terrified as a kid for it.
And the best part is that was all one giant puppet.
Yeah. It's really awesome. It really, really is cool. I mean, and it's really does the job that she needs it to do to survive that battle. And just for nostalgia's sake, and again, it's not glamorous, but it's definitely classified as a mech, and it fits the title perfectly, if you will, and that's my number 10.
Yeah. So I guess my number 9 then. My number 9 is Gypsy Danger from Pacific Rim.
Very good.
Yeah, considering what movie we've seen.
We just saw, right? Yeah, we just saw part 2.
Gypsy is such an interesting mech. Is like aesthetically she looks cool. I mean, yeah, I'm referring to she because they do too. And just such a iconic. When you think of the movie, you think of that thing and that mech. And the idea of having just a neural net from 2 pilots is such a neat idea. It's also like I love the whole blade in the arm. It's such an ass kicker.
Yeah,
my favorite scene in the whole movie is just taking an oil tanker and just beating the shit out of this kaiju. I was just thinking that whole time. I was like, yeah, this boat, your face.
Oh, I love that part. Oh, I forgot about that so much. That is actually really awesome, and it's funny that again we maybe we need to start talking about that because that was actually my number 9 as well. Was Gypsy. Again, classic design. Especially after seeing the sequel, you know, with the whole
the update Gypsy Avenger.
Yeah, so it's really dope. I mean, the new abilities that it's given in the sequel is really awesome. My number 9, so I guess we're bouncing back to you for number 8.
My number 8 is the Gundam Death Scythe Hell.
Okay.
From Gundam Wing. This is such a badass Gundam. And I know there's so many other guns. I was very close on this list of putting Epion in here, but Death Scythe is just aesthetically, it looks so, just like a giant Shogun Grim Reaper coming to cut you in half. It's such a, I actually have the figure at home, and it's such a, side note, that thing is so goddamn delicate, I have to be extra careful whenever I'm like dusting or something, because I'm like, oh god, please don't break, please don't break. But Death Scythe is such a, like, I just dug the just giant scythe, and I know I'm just saying how cool it is, but goddamn, can you blame me? It's such a cool thing.
Absolutely.
And I like Wing and Epion, and there's so many others, but Death Scythe always struck out to me, even as a kid growing up watching Gundam. And I feel like, yeah, you just need a Gundam in a list. You know, when you're talking about mechs, you need a Gundam.
Right, yeah. Alright, so my number 8. Now, this is a really awesome pick. And I don't care what anyone says. When we're going a little loose on what it classifies as a mech, so to me, it is definitely one. Okay, it is a giant robot, and it's Devastator. It might be cheating
from Transformers. We said giant robots. So.
We said giant robots, and it doesn't get much more giant than that.
Yeah.
I mean, Devastator. And we're not talking the Bay Devastator with the danglies. You know, we're not talking about that. We're talking about version 1, if you will.
G1.
G1, yes. I mean, we're talking green Constructicons coming together to wreck shit. I mean, it doesn't get any cooler than that. Like, I remember when Transformers transformed into a bigger Transformer as a kid, my mind blew. I was just...
Oh, yeah. Devastator is... It's neat because he, even as more combiners came into the show, he was still like the one everyone was like, oh crap, Devastator.
Devastator's coming, right? And he's the coolest. He's still the coolest. Absolutely. Like,
yeah, I mean, you've got, you know, I personally like Bruticus.
Bruticus is cool, yeah, no, absolutely. And you know, but for me, it all starts and ends with Devastator. Yeah. I mean, it's just, and the name, I mean, come on.
He lives up to the name.
Absolutely. He's got the, like, by far, minus what our Jaeger would be called. Yeah. The coolest robot name ever. Absolutely.
Yeah. In case you were wondering, if you didn't see the Pacific Rim Uprising, I came up with the name for our Jaeger, Diablo Sigma.
Yes, that is pretty awesome, and Devastator's right behind that.
Please make a fan art picture of that. We will.
Oh, yeah, shoot, definitely. All right, so moving on, your number 7?
My number 7 is, we need Dragon Zord power now!
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the fucking Dragon Zord.
Absolutely, that's fantastic.
Oh, man, I was this close to doing the Dragon Dagger voice, but I was like, because the tune, yeah, but how it kind of plays out in my head is that I've listened to that, and it kind of blends with It's the Final Countdown. No, it sounds the same. It sounds the same.
Kinda, I can hear it.
But the Dragon Zord, as a kid, when you see that thing come out of the sea and just start wrecking shit, finger missiles, drill tail, laser, aesthetically, that thing looks like, man, I could just, if I could own the Dragon Zord, I would just drown in nerd poontang for life.
Oh yeah, honestly, I think it's probably at least 50% of the reason why the Green Ranger is the coolest Ranger. Tommy's all great and all. The Green Ranger and the dagger is cool, the shield is cool, but it's the Zord. At least 50% of his coolness comes from that damn Zord. Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and oh god, but the dragon, like there's so many Zords I love, but it's the Dragon Zord.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
It's great. He's such and when I first saw him, I was like, man, that is such a imposing force. And I actually like him more when he's just the Dragon Zord, and not when he has the attack, like the
when he attaches to the rest of them.
I can't remember what's the form called. Battle mode.
Battle mode, yeah. Oh, whatever. When his tail becomes the weapon.
Yeah.
With the
I was like, that kind of cheat. I was like, go back to Dragon Zord.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool. It was powerful. It was awesome. Yeah. But the Dragon Zord looked way better. I'm right there with you. And funny enough, you know, that you're going to go ahead and he was your number 7. My number 7 is actually going to be the T-Rex.
Really?
Yeah, from Mighty Morphin. And I'm a classic Power Ranger guy through and through, and it starts there. Okay, I mean, as cool as the Dragonzord is, it started with how cool
the Tyrannozord.
The Tyrannozord was, and it was.
And it's the only Zord that could take on the Dragonzord.
Yeah, he could do everything the Megazord could do by himself, essentially. Like he was man enough. I use the term loosely to battle whatever monster came his way. Goldar, he could take it on, and it was just awesome looking. And
it was a robot T-Rex.
Yeah, it was like and the same way what you just said as terms of whenever they all got together. It's cool. I love the Megazord. Don't get me wrong, but I was always like, I don't want to see the Megazord. I want to see more of the. I was always upset that we never got more of the individual Zords taking on.
Which is fun because they actually do that more with the comics.
Right, and which is kind of cool. That's one of the reasons. If you're not checking those out, definitely checking out.
Dear God, that's some of the best stuff coming out.
And we got some more new news to talk about with the Rangers coming up soon. But yeah, man. But yeah, T-Rex is my number 7. Okay, so let's go on with your number 6.
My number 6 is Mechagodzilla 1 from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla in the Showa era. This thing is goofy looking, but like, imagine if Rosie from Jetsons came to kill you. And I know that's a stupid thing to say, but it's such a retro thing. It's so retro looking, but it's so deadly at the same time. I mean, aesthetically, it just looks like these big rivets everywhere.
Right.
And again, it looks like something out of like a 50s sci-fi movie, which is not too far from what they were going for back then in the Showa era. But this thing is so deadly. It didn't even have to move to kick Godzilla's ass. It was one of the first kaiju to make him well, I wouldn't say kaiju, first things ever to make him bleed.
Some people classify it, and again, we're being loose with the term, but some people will call it a kaiju.
I mean, Godzilla had to literally pull a new power out of his ass to fight this thing.
Yeah.
He had to MacGuffin his way out of the situation.
That's a good pick there. So, my number 6 is not going to be as exciting as yours, because we kind of already went with the excitement, but my number 6 is the Dragonzord. And everything you said, I just want to iterate how great and fantastic it is. And it's just, maybe, again, we should start talking about what our favorites are, because we just kind of repeat ourselves sometimes. But, we're work in progress. But my number 6, the Dragonzord. And you can see us, actually, within the Dragonzord, a lot of its inspiration from Mechagodzilla, too.
Yeah. I've always wanted those two to fight. Do it, Death Battle.
You know what? Death Battle, do it.
You had the White Tiger Zord versus Epion.
Yes, let's do that. I mean, how has that not already happened?
Yeah.
Like, seriously, fans, come on, let's make this happen, guys. We need to let Death Battle know that we want to see that in the next season.
Dragonzord versus Mechagodzilla.
Absolutely. I don't know who I pick. I gotta be honest.
Yeah. I mean, there was like an animated short I found of Mechagodzilla fighting the Megazord, and it had Dragonzord in it, but I just want a solo fight between the two.
But again, I don't know who I pick. I love them both. So again, my number 6, Dragonzord. Your turn.
My number 5.
Top 5.
Oh boy, this is gonna be fun now because, oh lord, my number 5 is actually Gundam Epion. Because the sixth Gundam, this thing, when it comes out swinging, it's gonna knock you on your ass, because Epion comes out of nowhere, smashes the other Gundams, and leaves. And it's very much like, it's kind of funny that we talked about Dragonzord and Green Ranger. When we talked about, all that, and it's kind of funny when we bring in Epion into the storyline of Gundam, it's very much like the Green Ranger saga. And yeah, he doesn't really become a good guy, I know, but new Gundam, new pilot, and he just trashes the other ones. Aesthetically, he looks so cool. I was really kind of a toss-up between, do I want Epion higher or Death Scythe? I was like, Epion. So, man.
You want to know a little secret?
What?
Gundam is something that I unfortunately I've never come across.
Blasphemy!
I know. As big of a nerd of many things in nerd culture I am, I just never got around to watching it, and it's been on for so long that it's like almost intimidating to watch. I have every intention on getting around to it, and when I do, I'll probably give my insight. You know, it'll probably be 15 years too late. But anyway, I'll give my insight to everybody if anyone's wondering. But you know, I know what it is. I know the concept of it. I know what you're talking about. It's just something. It's always been there, and it's just so big, and this fan base is so huge that I'm just like.
It's intimidating.
Yeah.
Now you know how I felt when I was trying to get into Ruby. All right, so
my number 5. My number 5 is a very interesting one. Okay, a lot of my picks sometimes just fall back on how I feel about them, not necessarily how cool they are, or you know, obviously like my number 10, like every mech we've mentioned could destroy that thing like this. I mean, and there's way better picks, and I totally get that, but I just base mine off of how I felt when I first saw them. Okay, and my number 5 is Krang from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles body.
Really? That's an interesting one. I guess that kind of counts.
It's a mech, and it grows, and it's giant. You know, so I just when I was thinking about it, you know, and it's like it kept. I was like, no, I didn't want to put it in the list. I was like, this. When you think of Krang, you don't. Yes, he's always in a damn body, but you don't always think about it being this giant monstrosity. Okay, but every time I was going through the list of different mechs, it kept popping in my head. I was like, dude, maybe should I put it at this number? And then I'm going to go ahead and put it at number 5. And it is cool. I mean, just think about all the video games he's been in, giant, and just laser beams coming out of the eyes. Even as bad as the Bay Turtles were, Krang was probably one of the cooler things out of that.
Yeah, too bad we didn't get, we only got 7 minutes of it.
Right, and he wasn't all that giant, if you will, but he was still pretty cool. And Krang is just awesome in any incarnation. So just to have his personality added into the fact that we're dealing with a giant mech here just kind of sets it in my top 5. And how can you not love Krang? I mean, any incarnation of the Turtles, he's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's my number 5.
All right. Oh boy, my turn.
Yeah, number 4.
Number 4. My number 4 is actually Death Sting from Zoids.
Yeah.
Yeah. This thing was like the apocalypse if it was a scorpion. Imagine that for a second.
Okay.
When this thing showed up, this thing, like I said, was like the doomsday equivalent of, because it just wrecked everything in its path. It was a giant metal scorpion. This was something the Power Rangers should fight.
Right.
Just this gigantic fortress-like machine that just destroyed every mech. Every Zoid that came in contact with, and I'm really excited for the Zoids reboot coming soon. So, I know it goes by Death Stinger or Death Sting, but I'm going to just call it Death Sting. It was just a giant fortress. Aesthetically, it looks cool, and it was a nightmare machine for everyone who fought it. There was actually a point where I was this close to actually getting the figure of it. But the problem was it was a certain number of raffle tickets that I had to get from a Chuck E. Cheese. Keep in mind, I was a kid. I was like, it's 700 tickets. I am going to do my damnedest to get that. That was my life mission.
That's so funny.
For 24 fucking hours. That was my mission. And I only got 50 tickets.
Oh, well.
And I got it, but I walked away with an eraser and I was proud. Not really. Yeah.
Alright, so we're going down to my number 4. My number 4, man, I don't care. When people can say my list is cheating, I don't care. We're going to talk about the Hulkbuster armor. It classifies as a mech, if you ask me, more so than we're letting Jaguar in this list. We might as well let that suit, that armor in. It's a man inside of a suit, inside of another suit. I mean, come on. It's so freaking awesome. From the film to the animated to any video game it's ever been into, the comics, I mean, it's epic. It's fantastic. It's anytime you see the Hulk and him in the same scene, it's like it's got to be floating around somewhere in your head. You got to be thinking about the two of them going at it.
It's a miniature kaiju fight.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and in some degrees, it is pretty giant. It may not be towering, okay, yeah, but it's definitely big. And it does battle a beast and a behemoth that honestly could take out most kaiju, period, single-handedly. I mean, the Hulk honestly could take out most kaiju. So that's my number 4.
All right.
The Iron Man Hulkbuster armor.
All right. My number 3 is going to be interesting because this is right out of a video game that my brother, and my dad played just hours on end. Is Thor, the Thor mech from Mech Warrior. And the Thor mech is interesting because we, in Mech Warrior 3 or 4, if I remember right, you could augment the armor and weaponry on certain mechs. And we decked the shit out of one Thor and called it God of Thunder, God of War or something. And we would just destroy every mech and every simulation we have. So it's more of a nostalgia, really, and I just love Mech Warrior. It's Civil War. It's almost like Gundam, but a little more gritty. Yeah. That's why I think I dig Mech Warrior. It's a lot of Gundam in there, and a lot of the politics and the mechs themselves, but it's on a more gritty level. So, and the Thor mech really embodies all of that. It's this square body, guns like this, missiles on the top. It's an ugly thing. It is an ugly looking thing. But if we were to really build mechs, it would probably look like that.
Right. It's realistic looking,
yeah.
It's cool. I dig it. Not bad. Alright, so my number 3. Okay, and it could be considered a little blasphemous. Okay, but my number 3 is on my shirt here.
That's not really blasphemy. I mean,
most people would say it's number 1, and especially considering the era in which I grew up in, it definitely... Prior to me being 13 years old, it was my number 1.
Oh yeah, I forget you're old.
Shut up. But Voltron, any incarnation, he's awesome. He's fantastic. I mean, what's not to say? I mean, how can you not love them? I mean, honestly, the Black Cat is my absolute favorite. It's fantastic, but we're gonna go completed here. I'm not fully up to date on the new show, which is on my to-do list. I'm about 3 episodes in, but I hear it's really good, so I'm really excited to keep going. Any thoughts on it?
Voltron for me is the embodiment of the 80s. And he's actually not on my list because I knew we would talk about him because I don't know what gave it away.
Yeah, I don't have a Pacific Rim shirt, so when we went to go see the film, I had to mech out somehow. So,
And again, I love... if anything, Voltron for me would be my... what's the word? Honorary pick. My honorable mention. Yeah. Man, the word got away from me. But...
so your number... Okay, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Voltron, for me, is like the embodiment... When you think 80s cartoons...
Heck yeah.
You think Voltron. And I know it's an anime, technically, but... but he's like the embodiment of the 80s. Aesthetically, he looks really awesome. That's just kind of bulkiness to him. I know in the new show they make him a little more streamlined. And they actually do stuff with the separate lions, more so than they did in the old show. And again, this was a robot that could even in Death Battle they said, it could take out the Megazord, which I know a lot of people are kind of sour about. Even I'm kind of
I'm a little sour about it too, because if that doesn't give off what's going to be within my next 2, this is why he's number 3, because the Megazord is going to be somewhere in this list. So.
Oh, trust me, he is. So I guess I'll move on to my number 3?
3.
Yeah, my number 3. Oh wait, Thor was my number 3.
That was your number 3. You're now number 2.
Yeah, my number 2. My number 2 is the Megazord, speaking of which, because what more can you say? I know there's so many Megazords.
Now, which one are you going to pick? A specific one?
Going classic.
Classic, okay. So
because
Mighty Morphin.
Mighty Morphin.
All right.
And I was so close to picking. There's so many Megazords I really enjoy. I was so close to picking Lightspeed Rescue Megazord because that thing was just decked out with weaponry and it was a badass morphing sequence. It's literally forming as it's walking towards... Yeah. But the Megazord, it's so much nostalgia to it. Aesthetically, it looks cool. It's this dinosaur mishmash that has a sword and shield made of a mastodon head, and it's coming to kick your ass. What more could you want?
Right. Absolutely.
And again, we have the Thunder Zord, the Thunder Megazord, and all these other Megazords out there, but you can't help but look at the... And I was thinking also White Tiger Megazord as well. That was another close one, but the Megazord just so much nostalgia feel to it. There's so much just raw energy, and it's classified as the most powerful Megazord, according to, I think, Saban, right?
Yes.
So, Yeah, what more can I say? Megazord. You know, Mighty Morphin Megazord.
Mighty Morphin. My number 2 is funny. You have mentioned him, and it's going to be the White Tiger Sword. Saba, come on. I mean, it's absolutely an awesome. And, I mean, if you're going to go from the Dragon Zord, and you're going to go somewhere, I mean, come on. I mean, it was so awesome. 2 forms. It didn't need to connect to other Zords, to be honest with you. It had its own form, if you will.
And it could bond with the other Megazords to make even more powerful.
Exactly. And, I mean, the tail resembled the curvature of Saba himself. I mean, it came out like... Dude, it's just awesome. It
so
really
let me ask
is.
you this, like, what do you prefer, Tommy, is White Ranger or Green Ranger?
I prefer the Green Ranger, and... I honestly do kind of like the Dragon Sword more, but the reason why, again, I pick a lot of my picks based off of nostalgia and how I feel in the moment, but I do throw some other factors in there, and the reason why I'm going with number 2 for the Dragon Sword, because I honestly do kind of like the Green Dragon Sword better. It's just how powerful he is, and I don't think they've ever really explained to the fullest the background of Saba.
Well, I think they are in the comics.
Comics, yeah. What I meant prior to. I mean, no. I mean, the comics are its own thing. I've never based anything Power Rangers off of that, and it's so new too, so it's hard to really go. And I remember as a kid, I was like, oh, this had to have been Zord on Zord. I was like, this had to have been his Zord. I was like, it was just so powerful.
There's actually a fan film that does
that. And,
yeah.
And then when I saw that fan film, I was pretty excited.
It was like it confirmed all your headcanon.
Yeah, and I was like, yes! So, and for that reason, I'm going to go with that as my number 2.
All right. So my number 1 then.
Yes.
My number 1 is...
That was my drum roll.
is Kiryu from Godzilla.
Okay.
The third Mechagodzilla. And everything I love about the first Mechagodzilla is ramped up. It's sleek. It's aesthetically pleasing. There's new weapons to it. And it's technically a good guy. You know, it's technically a good guy. Actually, there's such a cool background in that it's made from the bones of the original Godzilla are inside this one to give it like an extra edge or something. I don't know. It's a cyborg essentially. And it's my favorite. It's from my favorite of the Millennium Era films. And the films around them are really spectacular. And the whole thing of the story, because they really touch on. Did we really? I know Godzilla is shitty and all, but we kind of desecrated the first one's grave to make this thing. So there's a nice little aura of debate there.
Yeah.
So not to harp on too long. Kiryu, aka Mechagodzilla 3, my favorite mech.
Awesome. And my number 1, is going to be the Thunder Megazord. Yes, my number 1, I just happened to be the right age when Power Rangers came out. I think I was like 12 going on 13, so it was, some people may say I was, just about to get out of that phase, but I was such a huge Godzilla fan that this was like right up my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially it was the same thing. And, as I got older, I always kind of knew something was wrong with this show, to be honest with you, because things didn't play out like things were different. And obviously it turned out that it was, another show, if you will, from Japan and whatnot. But anyway, the Thunder Zord. I mean, Megazord is great. It's powerful. They call it the most powerful. But in the show, in the canon, from that, we had to increase our power, and we got the Thunder Megazord. And I know the Zeo Megazord supposedly in the show was even more powerful, but I mean, it just looked awesome. It had a freaking red Japanese dragon as a part of it. I mean,
and then a freaking katana,
and it looked like a freaking samurai. I mean, what's not to love? I mean, classic were awesome, and I easily can interchange the two, to be honest with you. But the Thunder Megazord, just the fact that it looks like a samurai is that much more awesome. And it's kind of cool too, because they go from, normally whenever you think of a mech or most of the time they're in the head. Maybe Power Rangers want to kind of set that off, but now they're in the chest, in the green, whatever you want to call it, the gem, if you will. But it is just so awesome. I mean, every Zord that makes up that one, I think, is a step up. Minus the Griffin. The Griffin is kind of the yellow Griffin. The tiger, the saber-tooth tiger, was way cooler than the Griffin.
And then we had the Tricerazord because of the Unicorn Zord.
Unicorn Zord. Okay, so maybe the blue and the yellow downgraded.
And they look the same. It's
Right?
the same thing.
They may have downgraded, but definitely the Mastodon upgraded going into the Lion. Okay, and the Phoenix is that much more cooler. And then obviously, as awesome as the T-Rex was, the flying freaking Red Dragon Zord. Okay, that turned into his own dude. Okay, could kind of battle along with.
And it was their spaceship.
Right, it was so awesome. And if I'm gonna pick an honorable mention, I can't fully remember what it was called. But I just remember how devastating it was, and it was Lord Zed Zord.
Serpentera.
That's it. Oh my.
Yeah, that's another honorable mention for me. Serpentera, this just Leviathan.
Oh man, the thing was fucking huge. Oh man, brings me back, dude. And that's absolutely, like, I remember terrified for these guys. I was just like, it's done. We're done. It's over.
The problem was that it just ran out of batteries too fast.
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, Zed would have to be like, are you kidding me?
And then it's like, what happened? And then we never got back to it. I'm like, oh.
Well, they did it in Forever Red.
Yeah,
that's true. But then it got destroyed by a guy flying on a hoverboard.
Yeah, I gotta love that.
Yeah, Forever Red, aren't you special?
Right. Well, yeah. Anyway, that's my number one and my honorable mention. All right, guys. Yeah. So let us know what your top 10 mechs are. Remember, you can throw in some robots if you want in there. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the video. Tell your friends about us. We're trying to grow as a channel. And guys, we're here for you, so definitely comment below. We'll be checking out the comment section. And
once again, see you once more in the universe.